Welcome back to another Q&A video here on this Labor Day weekend. Labor Day is winding down, end of the day here. Had a great time actually doing some work this weekend, getting some things done. So hopefully you enjoyed your Labor Day as well. And now on to the Q&A video. Got a lot of good questions lined up. So if this is your first time watching, what happens in these Q&A videos is I take comments or questions from the previous video and I answer them in this video. So if you have a question that you would like to leave down in the comments, go ahead and do that. And then on my next Q&A video, I may pick it out and answer it. Also, if I don't get to all the questions, I may start doing something with the ones I don't get to answer. I may answer them, but it will just be in a short form. So keep an eye for those possibly coming out here sometime soon. All right, so in this video, we do have the footage from a couple videos ago, maybe last video. So you're gonna see me working the yappa here. And what I'm doing is I have all these twisted, gnarly logs that aren't very straight. So you might see a lot of futzing around over there. This was the footage that was in time-lapse mode in the video. But you'll get to see kind of, you know, as you're following along, listening to the questions and the answers, you'll get to kind of see some of these pieces. Yeah, they weren't the easiest to work with. And I do also, I think, split up a few rounds that were on the ground to get going. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But anyway, on to the first question. And our first question is from Dale Small. Oh, and he's got a good one here. Do you think the 500i is worth the extra money and why? Oh, this is a big debate. So yes, I personally do feel it is worth it. But then again, you know, it's one of those things kind of like where if you go out to a restaurant and order a burger, you know, is it worth more to you going to that restaurant and eating that burger compared to like going to McDonald's or Burger King? Another scenario, you could buy a Yamaha motorcycle and you will get around from point A to point B, no problem. Or you could buy a Harley. Kind of just depends on your personal preference. For me, it's just an awesome saw to run. It's a lot of fun. And I think it, you know, if I get in some of the bigger tree service wood, it's got the power that I can handle that bigger wood, but it also is great for just bucking up regular firewood. So it's kind of, to me, in my application and use of it, it's kind of like the, you know, the perfect all-around saw. A lot of power, awesome throttle response time, and with the 25-inch bar, I can get into the big wood, or I can run it just bucking up smaller stuff. All right, next we have Wade. He says, hey Shifty, I've been subscribed to your channel for a while now and really like your videos. Well, thank you very much, Wade. One question I have for you is, what are your future plans for your wood yard? Also, what about your future plans for your firewood business? Such as, are you going to start selling, are you going to sell the wood, possibly acquire new equipment, etc.? Yeah, so I do have a couple things I'm planning ahead, I guess, for the future. And one of them, I mean, generally I like to keep some of this stuff just, you know, I don't like to announce it or say what it is, because then if something were to change and it doesn't happen, yeah, that's kind of like not the way I usually like to do things. But one thing I do really want to focus on next year, once I get all those dead oak trees gone from the center of the wood yard, I want to build possibly like a more permanent, maybe like open pole barn type of structure. So that's like my big, I guess, long-term plan and maybe goal, if you will. As far as the firewood business side of things, I mean, right now I'm happy with the way things are slowly growing. I don't want to really try to expand too fast, you know. And there's just a couple other things that this whole topic right here could be a long discussion I could have, and maybe I will sometime. But yeah, for the short term right here, there are some bigger plans in the works. A few other things need to happen though before I can, like I said, I got to get those trees down and then a few other things. And so there are some plans in the works to keep things growing. and getting bigger and hopefully better. Sean, our good buddy Sean, in your background video, how are you measuring your bucking length on those logs? All right, so he's talking about the last Q&A video. The background footage over there, I was bucking up a bunch of logs. And all I was doing is using the force. I was honing in my Jedi skills. No, I was just eyeballing it. Just eyeballing it, guessing it out. A lot of them came out pretty close to being like consistent cuts, so it worked out good. But yeah, just eyeballing it. That's all I was doing. Barry, who's got the most annoying Firewood channel? Wow, that is a interesting question. Well, I will just say this. I am not one to critique others unless they ask for it. But I do have a channel that does annoy me, believe it or not. I always try to, in each video I put out and each day that I'm doing things, I always try to find one thing that I can focus on to get better at. Some days I don't do that, and so I get annoyed with my channel. And so I would say that my most annoying Firewood channel is my own, just because there's certain things that I try to work on. Sometimes I'm not happy with what I've done and how I've done it, and I get annoyed. Well, I don't know if annoyed is really the word, but yeah, I just, like I said, I don't like critiquing or saying, oh, there's a lot of Firewood channels out there that annoy me, because then all that does is lead to speculation, like, oh, who's he talking about? Is he talking about me? Is he talking about them? Who's he? It's just not a very cool thing to do. So I would just say, yes, a channel that annoys me is my own channel, because I like to try to focus on improving certain things. Like, I'll just admit right now, like I think I'm terrible with my titles, and I always try to work on the titles of my videos, and I always struggle. And that's one of the things I think that's key, is that you have to have that awareness of yourself, and you have to hold yourself accountable to realizing what you're good at and what you're not. So just a quick story, like when we were first starting out with the Woodhounds podcast, like that's one of the things Joe and I were talking about. We had a little production meeting, and that came up, like titles, and I just told him, like, hey, you are way better at titles than I am. I think my titles suck. And so all of the episodes, you can go ahead and come up with the titles, because that's one thing I struggle with. And, that's just, sometimes that's what you need to do. But you also need to, like I said, work on something and then critique yourself. Like, I'm always critiquing myself well before others. So yes, the channel that annoys me, Back 40 Firewood. What's the buzz? How do I get on the podcast? Speaking of the podcast, how do I get on the podcast as a guest speaker? Let's talk saws. Well, if I remember correctly, I believe your brother just bought a 500i. So maybe your brother is a more worthy guest to come on to the podcast. I don't know. No, we are actually working on a few things. You'll hear coming up in this week's episode. We're starting to take things to another level, starting to do a couple things different with the podcast. And one of the things that we're, expanding with is possibly having more guests and possibly doing more video as part of the podcast. So there's a lot of exciting things to come, and we will maybe put your name down. What's the buzz? So we can get the buzz. What's the buzz on the saws? But that is a hot topic that everyone's been asking about. And we've been waiting to kind of get everything, the right timing to do that episode. But we'll definitely make a note of that. And just kidding about your brother. Although I think he probably is. He's got the 500i. He does that. He might just be a little cooler than you right now. That wood guy. Hey there, Back 40. Not sure if this question has been asked. If you were to purchase another attachment, front or rear, for your tractor, which would it be? That would be what I've been thinking about possibly having for the next attachment for the tractor is actually a box blade. Just because I have a lot of things I need or I can use it for around, I guess, the homestead here, so to say. That maybe not isn't so much firewood related, but just that I've have a couple things I want to do, and I think a box blade would come in pretty handy to get that done. So that's probably, if I were to get something, it would be a box blade. And the last question I'm going to answer here in this episode is from Wayne. If a woodhound is looking to expand his firewood operation and sales, but his current budget only allows for one piece of equipment, what would he buy, a commercial grade log splitter or a dump trailer first, and why? All right. I would say, if it were me, definitely go with the splitter first, because you need to have your product before you can sell it with a dump trailer. So it's kind of like the horse and the cart. Which do you put first? Do you get the cart, or do you get, you need the horse to pull the cart? So with a commercial log splitter, you can build up your inventory. And then once your inventory is built up and you have you're always staying ahead on your inventory, that's when, in my opinion, then you would maybe need the dump trailer. If you got the dump trailer and you don't have the inventory to deliver, what good is a dump trailer? I don't know. That's just, like I said, that's just me. I think it's, simple thought process there is just, because everyone, you want to think about having and building your inventory first to sell. And so for me, you need to have the wood split before you can haul it in your dump trailer to deliver it. So in that step, that process, part of that workflow that happens first is with the log splitter. All right, so again, if you have a question that you would like me to answer, leave it down in the comments of this video. And also look for, like I said, there's going to maybe be some this type of format coming to the shorter form videos. So again, hope everyone enjoyed their Labor Day, and thanks for watching. If you have a question, leave it in the comments. We'll see you next time here on another Q&A video on the Back 40 Firewood channel. Stay safe, have fun, and be cool.